Imagine selling an imaginary airport for $242 million. How can one even begin to imagine something like this? Many of us receive spam emails frequently, and Nigeria in particular is famous for this type of scam. You'll receive an email from a person who claims to be a prince, a doctor, or a bank manager, and he tells you there's a large amount of money, but he needs your help in transferring it to another country. In return, you will receive a large part of this amount, but all you need to do is send a small amount in advance to verify your bank account before they start transferring millions of dollars to you. This is one of the classic scam methods from when humans first began using email. But the scam we'll explore today happened long before the internet era. These modern-day internet scammers are just rookies compared to the Nigerian king of swindlers we'll see in today's story. His legendary scam involves selling a fake airport for a staggering $242 million. In 1995, the manager of the Brazilian Banco Noroeste received an unexpected call from Nigeria. The caller on the other end was no ordinary Nigerian citizen. He introduced himself as the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now in Nigeria, the central bank is the highest financial institution in the country. It controls all banks, manages national finances, and determines financial policies. So when the governor of the central bank of a country calls you, it's no small matter. Naturally, the manager of Banco Noroeste felt the weight of the call and listened carefully. The governor began speaking. He explained that Nigeria was planning to build a brand new airport in the capital city, Abuja. Abuja is one of Nigeria's largest cities, and its population is substantial. If an airport were built there, the governor explained, there would surely be a significant amount of travel and business activity generated around it. Here, the interest of the director of the Brazilian bank increased, and he began to listen more intently. The governor continued, stating that Nigeria was currently seeking investors for the airport project, which had an estimated cost of about $250 million. But here's the hook. The Brazilian bank manager would need to move quickly to seize the opportunity, as Nigeria was presenting this offer to several banks around the world. If the manager didn't respond quickly, the investment opportunity could go to another institution. The Brazilian bank manager started to consider what airports in large cities around the world can earn. Airport projects are known to generate immense revenue due to the volume of people and cargo moving through them. For a medium-sized airport, initial investments can be recovered within 1 or 2 years. Realizing this, the manager saw the project as a potentially irreplaceable opportunity, and just as he was deep in thought, the governor added a final incentive. The governor mentioned that, as the bank manager, he would receive a special commission of $10 million for acting as the mediator on this deal. This offer piqued the manager's interest further. Not only did he see this as a promising opportunity for the bank, but the thought of an extra $10 million was certainly appealing. And in the end, it wasn't his personal money at risk. He'd be investing the bank's funds, the money of customers who deposited with the bank, which made him care even less about the potential risks. After some initial back and forth, the manager decided to take the governor up on the offer. He agreed to move forward with the investment, taking what seemed to be an exciting leap into a major project. The Brazilian bank manager had no idea that he wasn't talking to the real governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Instead, he was speaking with a man named Emmanuel Nwude. Emmanuel didn't have anything to do with the central bank, nor did he have any real business plans to build an airport. In fact, there was no airport project at all. The entire situation was a fabrication. So who was this man who dared to pull off such a huge scam? Emmanuel Nwude was the director of a Nigerian bank, the Union Bank of Nigeria, which was a private commercial bank, not a state-owned institution. Nwude was already wealthy and lived comfortably, with significant money and assets. But he had bigger ambitions. He wanted more. He wanted millions. So he started thinking about how he could achieve this enormous fortune, and that's when a crazy idea sparked in his mind. He could pretend to seek investments for building an airport in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Although Nwude held a respected position and had a decent reputation, he knew it wouldn't be enough to pull off such a massive scam on his own. So, he decided to gather a team of close associates. He selected 5 people from his network, individuals who worked in the banking sector like him and had extensive experience in finance. These individuals knew the inner workings of banks, both in Nigeria and internationally, and they possessed personal and private information about influential people in Nigeria's financial sector. The group began discussing the plan in detail, exploring ways to attract banks to invest in a fictitious airport project. They knew that, for this to succeed, the first step in their plan was to create official-looking documents and send faxes to various commercial banks around the world. They crafted letters that appeared to be written by a high-ranking official in Nigeria's Ministry of Aviation, a fictitious individual named Tourist William. This person didn't actually exist, but in the letter, he was presented as the director of the Financial Planning and Budgeting Department of the Ministry of Aviation, a very high-ranking position. In the letter, the ministry stated that Nigeria was actively looking for investors to build a major airport project in Abuja. The fact that Abuja was recently declared the new capital in 1991 lent more credibility to the story, as the government was genuinely working on several projects to develop the city. This strategic detail made the scam appear more realistic to potential investors. These messages were sent to banks in various countries, with each one carefully tailored for the specific bank and country to make the investment offer sound more attractive. One of these messages reached the Brazilian Banco Noroeste and was addressed to the bank manager, Nelson Sakaguchi. When Sakaguchi, the bank manager, read the message, he noticed that it came from the Nigerian Ministry of Aviation and was signed by the director of the Financial Planning Department. The letter appeared to be from a legitimate source, and the proposal aligned perfectly with the bank's interest in investing in developing foreign countries. Given this alignment, the credibility of the Nigerian Ministry of Aviation's official-looking letterhead, and the strategic timing, Sakaguchi became interested in the offer. Indeed, Nwude and his team, thanks to their contacts in Nigeria's financial sector, were able to make the scam even more believable. They used a fax machine belonging to the government to send the messages, making the case look highly credible. After reading the message, Sakaguchi decided to reach out in response, indicating that Banco Noroeste was interested in the investment opportunity and wanted to discuss it in detail. This was the moment Nwude had been waiting for. He called Sakaguchi, impersonating the governor of Nigeria's central bank. The two discussed the airport project over the phone, with Sakaguchi becoming increasingly convinced that this was a golden opportunity. With Sakaguchi on board, the next step was to set up an in-person meeting. Sakaguchi suggested meeting in either Nigeria or Brazil, but Nwude, playing the role of the governor, advised against it, claiming that the project needed to remain confidential for the time being. He explained that they didn't want the project announced until construction began, which would be 4 or 5 years down the line. Sakaguchi, eager to move forward, suggested London as a neutral meeting location, which Nwude agreed to. About a week later, Emmanuel and his team prepared for the meeting in London. Each member of the team was assigned a role, impersonating high-ranking officials within Nigeria's government. Emmanuel, of course, played the role of the governor of the central bank. A second team member impersonated the deputy governor, while a third took on the position of director in the Ministry of Aviation. This carefully crafted group included 5 individuals and the wife of one of them, creating a believable entourage. The team prepared every detail carefully. They created a realistic airport plan, including a site and the land where the airport would be built. Once in London, they booked luxurious accommodations, ensuring Sakaguchi was treated like a VIP. When he arrived at the airport, they sent a limousine to pick him up and had him booked in the best suite at a 5-star hotel. The goal was to create an atmosphere of wealth, influence, and prestige that would leave Sakaguchi with no doubts. During the meeting, each team member introduced themselves as the characters they were impersonating. Sakaguchi, with no internet to verify their identities or photos, believed everything he saw and heard. Emmanuel, posing as the governor, presented detailed plans, business forecasts, and location options for the airport. He emphasized the confidentiality of the project and assured Sakaguchi that his bank would be a key partner in this high-stakes investment. By the end of the meeting, Sakaguchi was nearly convinced. The combination of luxury treatment, elaborate documents, and confident presentations by Nwude and his team made him feel as though he was witnessing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Emmanuel subtly began to pressure Sakaguchi, explaining that they would need an initial payment of $3 million to secure the project. Sakaguchi, although slightly hesitant, ultimately felt compelled to proceed, not wanting to lose the opportunity. He agreed to make the deposit, thereby securing his involvement in the project. This initial deposit marked the beginning of a string of payments that would amount to $242 million over the next 3 years. Sakaguchi continued to send money, broken down into smaller transfers, each less than $6 million, to avoid scrutiny from Banco Noroeste's upper management. To further conceal the scam, Sakaguchi arranged for these transfers to be sent to various accounts across multiple countries, including the United States, Britain, Switzerland, and Hong Kong. Nwude and his team used a network of 17 different banks to receive and distribute the money in a way that would avoid raising any suspicion. In 1998, Spain's largest bank, Santander, offered to acquire Banco Noroeste. The acquisition process involved reviewing all of Banco Noroeste's financial assets, and the investigative team soon discovered that hundreds of millions of dollars were missing. Shocked, they summoned Sakaguchi to explain what had happened. In a moment of vulnerability, Sakaguchi confessed, explaining that he had invested $242 million in a Nigerian airport project over the past 3 years, believing it was a government-backed opportunity. Banco Noroeste's management was left stunned by his actions. Determined to find out where the money had gone, Banco Noroeste's management and investigators traced the funds through numerous countries and bank accounts. Their efforts led them back to Nigeria, but they encountered a significant roadblock: Nigeria's lack of financial oversight and cooperation. Only after significant pressure from Western banks, primarily Swiss institutions, were Nigerian banks persuaded to reveal the identities behind the accounts. Eventually, they confirmed that Emmanuel Nwude and his team were the recipients of the funds. Despite his elaborate web of lies, Nwude and some of his team members were arrested. However, he used bribery to secure his freedom, even during the trial. The proceedings had to be moved from Abuja to Lagos due to threats and bribes. Ultimately, Nwude returned $120 million as part of a negotiated sentence reduction. After serving a fraction of his sentence, Nwude resumed his luxurious life. But in 2016, he was arrested again, this time for conspiracy to commit murder following a land dispute. This arrest served as a dark reminder of the lengths he was willing to go to protect his wealth and reputation. The story of Emmanuel Nwude is one of the most infamous scams in history, a reminder of the power of greed and deception. While the internet has made it easier to detect scams today, his story reminds us that even the most elaborate scams can be believable if crafted well. So, be cautious and vigilant in all financial dealings, as there will always be those who seek to exploit trust. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out more stories on our channel. See you in the next video.